Hello. I'm no one in particular, but everyone around me is already sick of hearing about Brexit, so I've decided to put everything I wanted to say in one place. At the time of recording, it's already May 2016, with only about 8 weeks to go before the EU referendum on the 23rd of June, so I might be a little late to the table with this, but I'm only going to address the hypocrisy and misuse of power, and that's never going out of fashion, so I guess the timing isn't too important. As we lead into May 2016, there is a somewhat frantic and ubiquitous debate, at least in the media, about the UK remaining in the EU, about which I have tried very hard to form an opinion, or at least pick a side. Before now, I've always viewed the EU in much the same way that I view the monarchy and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, in that it's no more offensive than anything else that regularly pops up in the news. It's just there. I'm afraid the best I can do is offer a small number of observations. Before I do so, however, I would also like to offer a disclaimer. This is not a Little England or anti-Europe polemic. I'm actually all for Europe with its horizon-widening variety of cultures and people, and I'd like to take advantage of the border-free travel and deepen my knowledge. So far I have enjoyed pasta in Italy, paella in Spain, currywurst in Germany, a stroopwafel in the Netherlands, goulash in Slovakia, and of course in each country I had an English breakfast. And yes, I tend to navigate by foodstuffs. Cultures and people are usually very welcoming and civilized. It's the politics that isn't. So, observation number 1. EU countries help to create one of their own biggest issues. Many EU countries, or at least their governments, try to use reducing immigration as a rallying cry, even though they're the ones selling weapons to unstable nations outside the EU, which then use those weapons against their own people, as well as their enemies, in turn forcing vast swathes of refugees and migrants to flee to those same EU countries, which then have the nerve to complain about it. It all evens out though, because the citizens of those EU countries can buy their own weapons and shoot the migrants when they arrive. There must be a media-friendly term for that. Is it partial ethnic cleansing or ethnic cleansing by proxy? Whatever the definition is, it's a hell of a way to reduce your quotas. France, Italy, Spain, Germany, Sweden and the UK all sell weapons to places like Saudi Arabia, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, Iran and some of the more unstable territories in Africa and Asia. In fact, if you choose an EU nation at random and ask Mr. Google who they sell weapons to, almost every single last one of them does it. One notable exception was the Netherlands, which has banned weapons sales to Saudi Arabia. But this just means that they were doing it. Bunch of splitters. Quick sidebar, I know the phrase should be, to whom do these countries sell weapons? But this video is already a bit up itself, so I left it. Of course, the arms aren't just sold outside the EU. Observation number 2. EU governments like to goad each other into buying their weapons. For example, just like the rest of us, Greece is bent double with debt, almost to the point of collapse. In fact, it was only an EU bailout that prevented their particular collapse, and then, knowing that they suddenly had the money, France and Germany carefully reminded them that, you know, Turkey is still right next door, and immediately sold them more weapons. Germany even had the audacity to sell them Duff ones. Greece spent €3 billion on 4 German submarines that never sailed. Quick sidebar, the world's top weapons traders, that's the US, Russia, Britain, France and China, are the very countries designated under the UN Charter to preserve peace. Now that's just too cynical to be ironic. Does this make anyone else think of Police Captain Smith in LA Confidential? Or Dick Jones in the original RoboCop? Or at a stretch, Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3? Everyone likes an encore though, so staying with the arms trade one more time, we can even go one better.